Boyd the Broker's back at Smackfest, and holy shit, and I can swear because this is my show, these are the two geniuses that brought me back to life. And oh my God, Dr. Sivakumar and Dr. Guan. And they are both, they're shitting their pants right now because they're like, what the hell did I create? Because what did you see in here, by the way? You know, I was cool 2 years ago. I get a shunt put in my head. This gentleman saved my life. And this guy put a battery in my head. And that's pretty much how it is. What did you put in there, dude? Like,
all I can preface with is that none of the surgeries have anything to do with this.
I was completely fine before I had a normal voice. Now I walk around talking like a pirate. I don't do anything unless there's a camera. I mean, what did you guys create?
I'm going to let Dr. Guan take this one.
Well, Boyd, I think we just, let you live the life you were destined to live. That's the idea.
Wow, you got to bring it down and be serious. Holy shit, why can't you just have fun with me?
That is having fun. What's more fun than saving someone's
life? I'm
life?
Supposed to live. You did save my life. All kidding aside, it is humbling, but it's a pretty cool story for me to be here with you too. 2.5 years ago, when I suffered a major hemorrhagic stroke, 37 days in the hospital, I had to get a shunt put in my head by this gentleman right here, who they call the rock star, by the way, and he loves being called by the rock star. I think he came to do this interview because he gets somebody to call him a rock star like 5 or 6 times. He loves it. And he deserves it, though. That's the difference. You guys have had so much training. Whatever room you go into, you're always the smartest in the room. But I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, my family owes everything to you guys. The reason I've had this recovery, all kidding aside in the pirate and Boyd the Broker stuff, my son, and you and I have talked about this quite a bit, was a 15-year-old freshman at Miracosta. And I made a conscious decision that I was not going to be the token father coming home, that I was going to be the father that come home to create an example. And what a better example than getting your ass kicked and being on a stroller on the Strand to 2 years later looking like this. Oh, and by the way, why did you make that? When you shaved my head, Doc, you made me look like an idiot for like 2 months. Like, dude, like, come on.
What needed to be done was done.
Dude,
you look great. You grew back. All hair grows back.
All that school and you can't freaking give a guy a decent haircut?
Well, if you're too good at shaving hair, then you do that for a living, all right? Like, you don't do brain surgery.
There's more money in that, from what I recall.
Wow. Tell me a little bit about why it's important to you. I know I freaked you out and you're like, why did I agree to come on here? You guys have saved countless people, and you probably don't have the opportunity to have them come back at you and be yelling at you like this. But all kidding aside, like, what gives you the big return in your life? Because to get here, you've had so much training and it's such a skill. What does it do for you?
I think for us, it's, all jokes aside, watching you be who you are, for better or worse here, all joking aside, is amazing for us, because we're only seeing people most of the time on the worst part of their lives. And then when they come into clinic, everybody's always nervous, even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road. There's always like an era of fear when they see the white coat. We got this thing called white coat syndrome, where somebody comes into our clinic and their blood pressure is up 10 to 20% just because they're seeing people with white coats walking around. So seeing people in their home environment, following you on social media, seeing you there with their family, that actually validates everything that we're doing, and it helps get us through all of the difficult times. Because we have people, we're pretty damn good at what we do. But we have, no matter how good you are, you're seeing the worst. And a lot of patients either die or they're not doing well, even though you're doing the best that you possibly can. So we need this kind of feedback. We need to see you being in your element, to being like, look, it does get better. People do get better. People improve their lives with their families, like you're talking about with your son. That is everything.
It's the irony of me personally, and this might ring a bell with you guys, is it's a traumatic brain injury, but I believe it was my brain that saved me. I believe, like, I'm okay with what happened. I wish I didn't have to go through what I went through, but I got my ass handed to me, and it made me who I am. And you guys enabled me to be who I am. Now, I was retired before this. I had a huge real estate career. I retired young. I maybe there's something about neurologically we think my type A personality. I came back and I had the stroke, but I've got a new zest for life. I don't take anything for granted anymore. Tomorrow is so important to me. The first thing I did when I got my license, so DMV took my license. 6 months later, the first thing I did was I went to Starbucks. We do it every day. It's the small little things that you get taken for granted. But when it's taken away, it's the first thing that you appreciate the most. So times that by all the family outings and the fact that, guys, I owe you so much. I thought about this when I was in recovery, and people need to get this as part of the inspiration, because my story is special. I'm not special, but my story is special because of you guys. But I was able to go on a week-long college tour with my son to Washington, D.C., Boston, and New York. And it's because of you guys that I was able to do that. And people need to hear these stories so that they know there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's messed up to get there. Two years ago, I was on a stroller on this same strand, Doc. For 2 months, you remember when after you guys fixed me and put the battery in my head, I call the shunt that you put in there a battery. It feels like I have a C-sized battery in my head. After that happened and I was on the strand, I remember making a conscious effort and a conscious note of this ain't gonna be me for that long. And that was the difference.
Yeah. And I think, though, Boyd, you give us a lot of credit. And, I think we work really hard, not just myself and Dr. Sivakumar, but there's a huge team, your nurses, all the scrub techs, everyone from, the guy who is, calling the shots on who to hire in the hospital, down to the guy who is making sure that your bed is clean and making sure that, every, soap dispenser is filled. It's a huge team. None of us can do it alone. But I also tell people, you're a big part of that team, right? Like, I think one of the big reasons you're here today is because of you, right? You put in the work. You had those days when you feel like crap. The last thing you want to do is do like one more rep of occupational therapy. The last thing you want to do is, try and do, one more, lap around the ICU, right? But you power through it. And, I see patients who go through this. I saw a patient the other day who, he's putting in the work, he's getting the result. And I think that the other thing he told me that reminded me of you was, he's like, after I get through this, I want to talk to other people who are in the midst of it, who are in the middle of the tunnel and they don't see the light yet. And I want to tell them, if you put in the work and you put in the time, there's light at the end of that tunnel. There's a life after this event. It doesn't have to define you. It's not going to be, your life forever going forward. But you got to put in the time, you got to have the, you got to put in the work. And I think.
So are you saying anybody can have a podcast? Is that what you just said? Holy Christ.
I mean, if you look at the podcasts out there, I think, just about everyone can have a podcast at this point.
That's what the heart wants. That's what the heart wants.
Jeez.
So to add to that, though, that family part of it is so huge. You had your sense of purpose, your reason for needing to get better right there with you, as Dr. Guan said, every step of the way. And we can't overemphasize the importance of that.
You know what? It's funny. I was thinking I was going to use this line and I had it written down, but I didn't use it, but I have to because it's such a good line. Is like, we got the band back together, having the two surgeons here. And so if we were the Beatles, who's Ringo? That's what I really want to know. Who's Ringo and who's John? Or who's Paul?
I'd want to be the one with the best hair, just for obvious reasons.
Hair.
That's why, dude.
FYI, Doc. This is the hair you want. You have no hair. In Spanish, it's called pelón.
Thank you.
I think he's Paul and I'm Ringo. I think that's probably.
And who am I? Am I Ringo? Oh, you're Ringo and you're Paul. So I'm John?
Who's that John?
Nobody knows George. Holy crap. What happened to this interview?
John.
Where did this go?
Be John.
I'll be anything. That's awesome. You know what? Thank you so much for being a part of my podcast today. Thank you so much for saving my family's life. You've made me an example to my family, and there's other people that need to see, like you said, the effort you put into it is the effort you get back.
Absolutely.
And you can say that, but I've been able to talk to other people. I actually went back to the actual rehab facility and was talking to a guy, and I felt very humbled in that he was looking at me with the eyes of, holy shit, if you have this much energy and your hair looks like that after the docs did what they did to your head, maybe I can get through it. And I felt like they they listened to me, and that
They
meant
need that.
that meant something.
Yeah, they absolutely need that. So I'm glad you're giving back to the community doing that. We can't ask that enough for people who've gone through this to be part of that recovery process for other people. It's so important.
Wow. Dr. Sivakumar, the rock star, and Dr. Guan. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Boyd. It's always a pleasure.
I'm Boyd the Broker. I appreciate you tuning into my podcast. I live in the real world. Where do you live?